Hello and welcome back to Japan's Perfect Pens. Today we will have a review of the Namiki Emperor Murasaki Shikibu by Shinsai 2018. Now, for those of you wondering about the name of the pen, Murasaki Shikibu, she was the author of the legendary Japanese writing Genji about 1,000 years ago. So this pen commemorates her, and here she is writing at the bottom of the pen on the table. At this end we have a wisteria flower. Now this is a common theme of Namiki pens. A person or an animal and a plant form, one of each usually. So we rotate it, you can see this really beautiful flower decoration at the top, and her cloves, which are in beautiful strong colours, quite rare for Namikas. Anyway, this is a rounded cap Namiki Emperor, which means it's an ebonite eyedropper pen. It has a valve which controls whether the flow is on or off. It's about 17 centimeters long, which makes it enormous by pen sizes. There is some Maki-e on the clip. So you can see there she is sitting next to our partition in orange behind her, wearing a beautiful red and green kimono. And the top is where the wisteria are. So technically, this is Shishiai Tokarashi Maki-e, as are almost all of the emperors, which means it's a combination of raised Maki-e and burnished raised Maki-e. There are 30 stages of production just to get to the black pen, and then layer after layer after layer of this Maki-e is added. Some of the emperors get into the 60s, 70s, 80s, depending how complex it is. And the way it's most visible is when we rotate the pen, you can see the light coming off the side of some parts, such as the flowers on the wisteria, parts of the leaves. You can see parts of the partition at the bottom and parts of the kimono are reflecting differently because it's not a flat surface, it is this raised and the burnished raised Maki-e. And that is what gives Namiki Emperors their fabulous looks. It's also what takes so much time and therefore what contributes to their enormous cost. So just having a look around the pen there. So let's have a look in detail. There she is. She's actually sitting painting with a brush, looking away from the viewer, with the partition blowing behind her. I mentioned before, these are quite strong and unusual colours, so Namiki are quite careful about colours that they allow in their pens, and there are certain combinations which you will never see. In 100 years of Namiki pens in the future, you will never see certain colour combinations. At the top we have this beautiful wisteria. Wisteria, a very popular plant in Japan. You see them planted all over the place. If you ever go to Nara, there's some beautiful wisteria just outside the park. And just rotating, yeah, it's a bit easier to see if I just move it this way. You can see the raised effect here. If you look at just where the light is and just playing around the edges of the flowers as it goes round. And also the kimono, the hair is raised there above the head. Even the level of the hair is higher than the level of the head. It's very tactile 3D. Rotate it further, the different effects of the gold patterns there on the back of the partition. Yeah, and the string here is also very nice. So this comes with the standard size 50 two-tone Emperor nib. This one's in broad size. So Namiki 50 nibs, what do you get? They're 18 karat gold, except for the very oldest ones. They tend to write very smoothly and have a wet flow. The valve controls whether the ink can get to the section, so if you have the valve off, eventually it'll run out of ink. And they have this two-tone snow cap of Mount Fuji, which you won't find on the 50 size Urushi Black Urushi Vermilion pens. The two-tone is reserved just for the Emperors and for the Chinken Emperor size pens. Now, for me, this creates probably the nicest writing experience I've ever encountered, but I do have very large hands, and so it's a natural fit for me. It's not a natural fit for everyone. It doesn't fit my wife particularly well. So I have a dedicated writing review because I don't want to repeat the content every single time. Have a look for this thumbnail in one of my videos. Here's the name of it, Namiki Emperor Fountain Pen Writing Sample and Review. I write with 3 emperors in that review just to show you how they are. And the predominant feature is this nib is so massive that your hand is well back away from the paper, so it writes in quite a different way to a pen with a regular size nib. Even a large pen, even a large in length pen and large in girth, it's still quite a different experience. So now moving to the artwork on the pen, let's just have a look at how this varies a little bit from other Namiki Emperors. So apart from the quite strong colours, I would say that it's reasonably simple by Emperor standards. I say reasonably simple. There's two main parts on this pen that have very complex work, and one of them is clearly the wisteria flowers at the top, and the other one is clearly Murasaki Shikibu herself, the partition behind her, and her kimono. So in terms of the rest of the pen, you've got the clear black Urushi in the middle, which is highlighting the wisteria very nicely, you can see here. And then you've got the top of the cap and the bottom of the barrel with the gold powder adornment. So it's quite simple. Two complex areas on a reasonably simple design, and the way they make it stand out is by having these very bold colours you can see here. This orange fading to peach with the gold work on it. I mean, I think that's absolutely stunning piece of work. That's not easy to do, to make those colours blend so beautifully, make them form so beautifully, and then they contrast with the strong green and just the highlights of her colour on her kimono. And at this end of the pen, we have the wisteria with its purples and its green leaves. It's a little bit more muted, so the idea is to bring the attention down the pen straight onto the figure of the author. But the background serves to make sure the wisteria still stands out. If the flowers of the wisteria were on the gold powder background, it wouldn't be quite as visible. So again, they've got this nice balance where the bottom of the pen certainly is the main focal point, but the top has sufficient, and there's good balance between the two. The detail is really exquisite and very difficult to produce, so it's just as fine as the other Namikis. It's just as more that it's concentrated into 2 points. I mean, that partition is particularly hard to do, those effects and the layering there of the hair and the thread on top of it. It's really good. Right, well, I hope you enjoyed this Namiki Emperor review. Please keep liking and subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you very much, and take care.